Hello and welcome back to the VisX show. I'm your host, Vis, and yes, I'm barefoot. This is a barefoot podcast, a barefoot show, and today is episode 7. So it has been a few weeks since I have released an episode, and I'll tell you a little bit about why. But mainly, what I'm going to talk about today is seasons of life. Um, I'm going to talk a little bit about why I took about 4 weeks off from creating additional content. And then I'm going to just kind of talk about the overall idea of what we do, or maybe how we should look at different seasons of life. And then, if you stick around to the end, this show I've always promised to give you a little bit of behind the scenes look at what I'm learning from doing the show, what I'm learning from creating the content. And I'll tell you that if you stick around and you've been interested in maybe starting your own show, your own podcast, be it video or only audio, I'm going to give you the benefit of the things that I've learned so far, the things that I'd like to be able to do better, the things that I would do better in a perfect world, but maybe it doesn't matter to me all that much. So here we go. Let's get into it. So, first question, I need to address this. What is the reason why it's been so long since I have uploaded any additional content? This is episode 7. The first 6 episodes, I was successful in getting a single episode uploaded every week. If you were to ask me at the time, like, what's your goal? Like, how many episodes do you want to do? And how often do you want to upload an episode? I would have said probably I'd like to do one every single week. And the reason for that is because I recognize that the various algorithms on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, they reward regularity. That's just the world that we live in. And if I'm doing this in order to get the algorithms to work for me, to get the biggest audience possible, then I definitely want to dial in how often I release. And more important than how often, that it is actually reliable so that the algorithms can predict, can be looking for, and then can distribute so that you guys have the best chance of having it come across your timeline without me sending you a text message or a DM that says, hey, I have new content, which, to be fair, if you subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or YouTube, then you will absolutely get those notifications. If you subscribe with notifications on X, then you will get notifications whenever I post. So those are options. However, there are people that have told me, like, hey, I really am interested when you have content that comes out. Just shoot me a text and I'll look for it. Well, that's cool if your audience is 5 people or maybe even 20 people. That's okay. But if you get more than that, you can't rely on that type of distribution in order to get the content pushed out. So I took a 4-week break. What happened was a couple of things. One, very personal, that I won't give you any details about. One, happy to share. The first thing that happened is about 2 weeks before my episode 6, I got a new job, which is fantastic. I had been working independently after having been laid off from a job back in September. And so I had extra time. I had a lot of extra time to devote to creating content, researching, putting together timelines, bullet points, scripts, all things that make a podcast worth watching or worth listening to. And so that went away very suddenly as I took a corporate position at a company here in my hometown. And It's a very small company. I really like it. It's challenging, and the people I work with are very encouraging, very nice. So, all that to say, it's a fantastic change. But it also makes it much harder for me to figure out when I'm going to be putting content together. And so I really kind of relegated to either a Saturday night or a Sunday afternoon to try and create content. And that would be everything from um, organization and research to production to post-production edits, all the way to uploading and distributing on the various platforms, and then taking the distribution links from those platforms and then spreading them all the way out to the social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. So all that to say, that takes time. I actually timed it around episode 4 and 5 and figured out that there's probably about 8 hours of time in a fully researched and scripted episode of roughly 20 to 25 minutes in length. And that's probably because I'm slow at some of the things, all of the things, if you're being honest. But what I will say is that isn't the biggest change that I had that made me take a few weeks off. I had a personal family issue that came up that required a lot of my time. And as you may have seen, if you've paid attention to any of the previous 6 episodes, and you will certainly see as we do more episodes in the future, the things that are really the most important to me are going to be those things inside my home, my family, and then my extended family, siblings, parents, my church family. All of these family members are going to take priority over a budding podcast that I'm just starting. But we'll get a little bit later deeper into why the podcast is important to me. And so it doesn't go to zero, but it definitely is not as high up on the priority level as something that took a lot of time and a lot of emotional bandwidth for me to deal with. Right around the time episode 6 came out, I was dealing with this. And then a really, really big change happened inside my home, a change that, without getting too much into the details, I can tell you that I had a period of 6 months where we brought a situation into my home and gave to it. That 6-month period ended right at the time when I should have been creating and producing episode 7. And all of that was happening in a way that there were a lot of emotions involved. There was a lot of my time involved, a lot of my mental bandwidth and emotional bandwidth. My spare time when I was not at my new job was spent working on making this situation happen smoothly and in a positive and constructive way for everybody involved. Okay, so once that happened, everything, the dust settled, and over the course of some days, I started reflecting. And it's what's really got me thinking about the main topic for this episode, the seasons of life. So we go through various seasons depending on your age, depending on your health, depending on where you are in your career, if you're married, if you have kids. We go through all these seasons as we live our lives. And when we have seasons, it's important to identify sometimes the season that you're in and recognize it for what it is, and to enjoy the parts of it that you can enjoy. Because that's life, right? Like if we're in a 5-year season of a job that we hate, you can't just live all of those 5 years, day after day, month after month, hating everything because there's one thing about this season of your life that you just really don't care for. You don't like it. Instead, you can screw your head on straight and you can have a good attitude about all of the other things, because the fact of the matter is, if you are tuning in to this episode, there is a 100% chance that you have things in your life that someone around you wishes they had. How do I know that? It's statistics. If you're listening to this episode or watching this episode, that means that probably you have a smartphone, or probably you have free time to consume content from someone who's maybe a friend or a family member, or maybe I came across your stream as a recommendation from someone who had a positive takeaway from one of my previous episodes. Either way, I'm presenting to you right now on a platform that indicates that you have some level of wealth. Maybe you wouldn't call it wealth, but it's wealth compared to much of the world. The fact that you have the ability to concentrate on this particular podcast right now as you're listening tells me without a shadow of a doubt that you have other needs in your life that have already been met. Needs like food and shelter. All of these needs that you probably have people around you that provides for some of your social needs as well, mental, emotional, maybe spiritual as well. And that indicates that you are what some people would call privileged. And I understand that's a loaded term in today's political and politically correct climate, where language is used as a form of warfare, where any specific word can get hijacked by someone from one viewpoint or another viewpoint. My point is this: no matter how bad your season of life is, as you are listening to my voice right now, there are parts of your life that people around you wish they had. And so we should take a step back in our good seasons and our bad seasons, and we should reflect on just where we are in life. What are the things that we're dealing with? What are the things that we're grateful for? What are the things that are hard for us? And what are the things that we can do better to be more intentional with our time so that we can be a better human, a better community member, a better dad for me, a better son. I'm one of those too, a better brother, a better husband. So these are all things that I would encourage you to reflect on. So I came into a season after the 6-month period officially ended, and it was an exact start date and an exact stop date. And so it was exactly 6 months. And when it ended, I took a moment. It was a real moment. I knew that I was, more clearly than any other time in my life, I was entering a new season. And I needed to find out what that season looked like without forcing myself into maybe some podcast episodes that I didn't care very much about, or maybe I didn't want to force myself into doing a podcast if the podcast overall was something that I decided wasn't something I wanted to be part of this new season in my life. So here I am. I have more free time, and I have more disposable income now that I'm back employed with a good job. I have more emotional security because of healthcare benefits that come with a job, other emotional benefits that come from knowing what and when to expect from income in your bank account. And I'll say that I worked almost 10 years independently, so I have never fully needed to have a job in order to have income and to be grateful for my home, my family, my life. but I will say that a predictable income and good health benefits goes a long way to make this a more confident individual. And that's okay. That's part of the reflection process. I've spent the last 4 weeks doing a number of things, mostly thinking a lot of thoughts about what is important to me to be doing in this new season of my life. I'll tell you, number one, I want to be spending time with my family, which is not a surprise to you. If you've already listened to me, if you know me, you know that that is a priority. So being able to go to my teenagers' track meets or basketball games or any various events that they have, I want to be able to do that. I want to see them. I want to support them. I want to show them that dad cares. What's another thing that's important to me? Well, my church. My church is a very high priority for me. And one of the things that I took on 9 weeks ago was developing a curriculum for a Sunday school class, for an adult Sunday school class. And that wasn't something that I had the ability to just put on pause like I did the podcast. And so the additional time that I needed for content creation, research, organization of ideas went predominantly into building that curriculum instead of this podcast. Now, I'll say this. Right now, I'm in a very fortunate place where that curriculum came to an end this morning. It came off really well. I believe it was helpful, beneficial for the people in my class as well as me. It was really beneficial for me doing the work. But because that came to an end, it opens a door for additional time to work on this show. And this show is very important to me. Again, I'll get more into why it's important a little bit later on when we talk about the overall show mechanics and what I've learned. But my main point is that I am in a new season. I'm in a season where I'm able to get up in the morning and go join a boot camp workout class with a bunch of guys. I've never been able to do that before. I just haven't had the freedom to do that, and now I do. And so I'm trying to make the most of that instead of getting up and grinding on research or content creation or doom scrolling. I'm doing things to get 1% better each day. And I'm doing that pretty consistently. And again, those morning times are times when I would do some of my ideation for content creation. That's when I would do some of my social media management, you might call it, of sending out links or reposting shorts, things like that. So I encourage you to look at the seasons of your life. Like we know the book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible talks about seasons and there's a song for everything. There's a season. Turn. Seasons turn. Our lives turn. We enter new seasons. When I got married, I was a young person. I was 22 years old, just barely turned 22 years old. And I was independent. I thought I knew everything. I was confident and strong-willed, and I married this beautiful, smart, also pretty strong-willed woman. And I can say that it started a new season, a season of learning how to be compatible, how to be a companion, how to be strong without being overbearing, how to be strong while accepting that I'm wrong. These are all things that came in a new season. They were hard things where I had to learn. And just like that, I'm in a season now of learning. I'm learning how to be this new version of me, this me that lives now in this season. Tomorrow is April 1st of 2025. This is not a joke. I am so excited to be back creating content, pushing out for you guys. I hope to have something that will be beneficial for you. When I think about different seasons, I think about people like my parents who've been married for almost 55 years. That's a long season. It's had a lot of ups, a lot of downs. I think about my marriage of, I believe, 24 years. And yes, it could be one or more than that, less than that. I'm not that good at math. Um, I think about my season as a dad. Half of my kids have moved away to other parts of the country. This is a new season where I'm learning how to connect with my own children in a long distance relationship. I'm learning how to connect with my wife in a long distance relationship as she lives a 7-hour drive from our home. These are seasons where we think about what are the good things. For me right now, the good things are health, security, being surrounded by people that love me and that I love. Other things that are great, that are really exciting, are watching my adult children become the people that they will be known for. Watching my high school children on the cusp of becoming adults, becoming those people. I love seeing people grow, not just from children to adult, but I love seeing people grow as their minds expand. I'm a lifetime reader, and I don't just read the fiction that I love so much. I certainly am a big fan of fantasy and some science fiction, but I love reading books on leadership. I love reading books on communication. How can we communicate better? It's part of why I'm doing this podcast, is to learn how to communicate better, learn how to relate straight to you better. It's not always perfect. But I'm also in a season where at 46 years of age, I have aches and pains that will never go away. At least I don't think they'll go away. I have at least one chronic pain that I've had for over 2 years, and I haven't been able to find a doctor yet that can fix it. And I've seen probably at least 4 different specialists at this point to try and fix a pain that I have. And so I'm in a season where there's just always something nagging at me, whether it's nagging at my body or nagging at my brain as I'm thinking through what happens when my parents pass away. What happens if I lost a child? What happens if my spouse dies before I do? What happens if this job that I really enjoy, that I just got, goes away and I have to start fresh? All these what happens, these things, these are worries that are specific to the season that I'm in. And I wouldn't trade them for anything. They're mine. I have plenty of problems, and I am so glad that I have the problems that I have. That's the season that I am. I am in a season where I'm grateful for the things that I have, the good things and the bad things. I don't love the bad things, but I'm grateful that I don't have some of your bad things, right? Like some of you are going through horrible things right now. And even though you may be going through horrible or really difficult things, you also have many things to be grateful for. So I encourage you, as you go through all of these seasons, what the writer of Proverbs and the writer of Ecclesiastes, the King Solomon, had to say about it was that after all of these things, his conclusion was that we should spend time with our friends, having a good meal, and enjoying each other, because that is what it's all about. And so no matter what season you're in, I encourage you to find those people, to reach out to them, sit down, break some bread, as my daughter Gloria would say, have a cup of joe, glass of wine if it's your thing, but enjoy that time together. Because this is the season that you're in. So you might as well enjoy it, because you don't know when the next season is going to happen or if it'll ever happen. But you know for sure you have this season today. So make the most of it. So, well, that brings me to, what did I do? The very first thing I did when this 6-month season that I'm referencing came to an end. Interestingly enough, I decided I wanted to do something in the evening that I haven't been able to do. I went for a walk, barefoot, down by the river on the gravel path. What? Yes, your barefoot host wanted to go for a barefoot walk. Because that's the thing with the river in the evening, just walking, enjoying just the peace of being out by the water, enjoying the sensation, the tactile feel of the gravel on my feet. Some of it maybe hurt a little bit, or maybe you would consider it to be painful, but for me, it's not pain as much as just, it's a feeling that lets me know my feet are alive. I'm alive. I went for a walk. That was that night, the first thing I did. It was intentional. It was barefoot. Because that was the way that I could feel all of the feels, the tactile feels, the emotional feels. I could experience all of it in an incredible environment by the river. And so then, as I use this season to think about what are the things that are important to me going forward in this new season, this podcast is of very high importance to me. I don't know, I can't guarantee that I'll have a new episode every week, because there are priorities that I have that are more higher than this podcast. What I can say is that it is more important to me now than ever before to engage with the world, with my ideas. And this platform, this show specifically, is a way for me to engage with you while also archiving my thoughts on what's going on in the world for my children and my grandchildren. Because more than anything, I want to have an impact on them. And I can only hope that there's a day in the future where they don't think I'm a complete idiot. Or maybe my grandchildren will say, we heard that Grandpa had this show. You can find it on YouTube, or you can find it on Spotify, where he talks about things. And they say, I hear people talk about Grandpa sometimes, that he was kind of weird. That he liked to tell people what he thought. And maybe they'll decide, I'm going to go listen to an episode. And maybe they'll tune into this one. And they'll say, he was talking to me. And they'll watch more episodes. And they'll find out the things that are the most important ideas to me. And in that way, I will have accomplished everything I set out to do. And so for them and for you, this podcast is of great importance to me. So what have I learned? As I've been spending time creating, this is episode 7. What are the tools I use? How do I use them? I'll tell you. So first, I have ideas. So we're really transitioning. If you're not interested in how I create an episode, how I come up with the ideas, edit it, and produce it, happy to say goodbye. If you want to stick around, then it's just a step by step. This is what I've learned. Step one, come up with an idea, and it can be anything. And what I'll do is I'll use the note function in my iPhone, and you can use it to record your voice note. And when you do that, it automatically transcribes the note to text. And so what I find is that when I have an idea for what I want to talk about, I can spend 30 minutes or so just creating a voice note that's as much of an outline as it is the idea for what I want to talk about. And I'll get that all printed out. And then I'll take that and I'll copy it and paste it into the various artificial intelligence platforms that I use. I currently mostly use DeepSeek, I use Claude and ChatGPT, and I will paste the text of my ideas into these platforms and say, hey, this is for my Barefoot podcast. I want you to give me an organized outline. I want you to give me an introduction, an outro. I want you to make some bullet points for me. I want you to give me some ideas of additional stories that I could tell if I need to fill more time. And I'll have it pull it all out. And I'll take all three of them, and I'll take the parts that are in line with what I'm hoping to accomplish and what I'm hoping to present. And then I'll just revise and revise and revise. And then I'll put it back in. And I'll say, okay, clean it up. Make it organized, make it flow, and tell me what I can do to make it better. And it'll give me some feedback. Then I'll take it. And I have paid for a couple of different softwares or apps on my phone to help me do some of these other processes. One of them is an app that puts a script on my phone so that I can be reading the script as a prompt while looking straight at you. And it's not exactly straight at you. It's more like this, like, right? Like I'd be like this, but talking to you instead of talking to you this way. It's not perfect for a teleprompter, but it's pretty good. And so I'll then put it in there. And the reason I do that, and even if I am reading it, I do that because it allows me to really do most of these episodes in a single take, instead of having to re-say or restate different ideas and thoughts because I got jumbled up in my head or in my mouth. And so I can take what I want to say, I can use a teleprompter, and I can read it while also looking at the camera and be able to give what I feel like is a pretty good presentation of what I want to get across, the content that I want to get across. After that, I take the video, I download it into, I have another software that's a podcasting software that takes it, and it also creates a full transcript, a written transcript. It uses artificial intelligence to create a transcript. It creates a summary, an outline, keywords to upload into YouTube and Spotify when I upload everything. And I'll put it in there, and that's where I'll do my editing. Also, I can use the artificial intelligence to do its own edit, or I can edit all on my own, or I can start with the artificial intelligence and then change the edits however I want them. And then I take that, and I have to, because of the platforms that I use, I have to pull one edit out that has the audio and video and save that. And I pull one edit out that has only the audio, because right now, the way that I upload to the podcasting platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify, I have to do audio only, even though some of them can take a video version like I put out on YouTube and on X. Just the mechanism of the software I use requires me to do an audio only. So I strip out and download just the audio, and then I upload those to the various platforms. And I also upload, I go through the AI transcript in case there's words that are misspelled, things like that. And I will take those words and I'll correct them, and I'll attach those into the show notes. And I will also use on the video one, I'll use that transcript to go along on the video. I know that when I'm watching videos, a lot of times I like to read the words or along the bottom. And so I'll add those. I'll push all of that. Then I'll use my software to also give me some recommendations for short clips, 20-second, 30-second, minute-long clips that I can use for like Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts. And here's what I found. In terms of listens and views, YouTube is hands down the platform where my content is viewed the most. I would say that X is probably second, and that's probably just because I'm more active on that platform overall. Instagram, very little. But YouTube, I found that if I upload a video and then upload throughout the week some YouTube shorts that also link back to that video, that drives overall viewership. So that's really my process. And then it's just a matter of, taking the links from the various platforms and posting them to YouTube or to Facebook, wherever it is that you found that this episode is coming out. I am putting it there, and it has been a really good process for me. I did have a really good friend hit me up in the DMs, and if he's watching this episode, then I really appreciate your feedback. And I've had a number of good people provide feedback for me, but they told me, they're like, I was looking at this closely and I realized you're reading that. Yes, some of these episodes, I am reading it. It's because it's the script that I want to give. And if you're listening on an audio only version, you don't know. And chances are you don't care, because we don't really expect everybody to ad lib their content. We expect them to know their content. We expect them to believe their content. I don't think we expect them to have it memorized and ad lib it in the most smooth and professional way possible. And that does get better. The more you do it, the more you can do that. But I haven't been doing this very long, and maybe there's a day where I come up with a full script and I don't use a teleprompter. That day is not today. So you will continue to see me. If you look closely, I'll be looking at the screen instead of exactly at you. It's very subtle, the difference. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoy this episode. I hope you enjoy this season of your life. Go out there, walk barefoot in the grass, probably not the gravel. That's probably not for you. But get out there and enjoy it. Feel all the feels, the good ones, the bad ones. These are the feels of the season that you're in. I look forward to seeing you again.